Hi everyone, welcome back to A Brick Dreamer. Let's go very fast because we have a lot to talk about in this new episode of Mock Builder News. All the creators, creations and articles mentioned in this video are going to be in the description down below. Let's start with the mocks of the week. The first mock is this amazing Gotham City Police Department building, a kind of modular looking building, very big in scale and very filled with interesting detail and texture everywhere, all around the building. The creator, the builder behind this build is Gabor Balassa, that is specialized in this bigger scale building. For example, you can check out this amazing Centum Sanctorum build, of course way bigger in scale compared to the official Lego set. For the second mock of the week, we are going to go micro scale. So here we have Peach's Castle in micro scale. Very cute, very small, and also with quite a lot of interesting part usage. You can see, for example, these flower pieces has been used as trees. We have these binoculars here used as towers. We have some upside down techniques. We even have some gears. The builder behind this mock is Dimex Art. He's a mostly digital builder. He specializes in micro scale builds, and he has quite a lot of very successful Lego ideas submissions as well. So I recommend you to check out all of these builders. Another one is this Monty Python build, small vignette. So I'm a fan of building small, not too big. I'm not too familiar with Monty Python, but this build is really well done. You can see all the details here in this path that goes into this sand green area. Everything is built on top, is built sideways. We have slopes, we have T-slopes, we have curve slope. Everything is going diagonal in a very interesting way. You can see, for example, these slopes over here are on a very interesting angle. We even have a helmet here for this stone piece. And over here we have a very interesting bridge made with holding there by gravity, but is a very interesting looking detail. You can also see that the arms that has been cut off from this knight are made inside with this thread. Is actually a Lego elastic band popping off on both sides. And also that's also a technique that you can use to pose minifigure arms. Maybe I will talk about that in some future video. Anyway, this is another very interesting build. The builder is Firebricks. I apologize if I pronounce some of this name not correctly. He's a great builder, very diverse. He has Lord of the Rings, he has Star Wars, he has sci-fi, a little bit of everything you see medieval build, and very amazing rock work and landscape work. So I highly recommend you to check out all of these builders. Now let's talk about the MPU of the week. So now we're going to talk about this Ice Planet Penguin Outpost. There's a lot of very interesting part usage over here. So in this build, we have a lot of construction pieces that is being used for these sort of penguin mechs, but also for the building behind. You can see, for example, over here we have some binoculars for the ends of this mech. Sorry, again, I move in the wrong page. There we go. We have a lot of these trans clear orange pieces. For example, this sort of rock piece. I also have one of these pieces, but I never use in any of my mocks. We have some blasters over here to add additional details to this tower. And you can see all throughout a lot of interesting part pieces. We even have some slopes that give a very nice, interesting ground detail to this tower. We have some minifigure arms in white here in this snowy area. And we have a lot, again, of these orange pieces. I'm not sure exactly how this big, long piece is called to create this kind of rocky crystal structure. And we even have these blue wheels. Overall, a very nice build, of course, with a nice contrast between the sort of lava-looking area in orange in the middle, the ice and the snow. The builder behind this build is Lego Hobbit fan, that I also recommend to go and check out. A lot of very interesting build. Again, medieval, castle, New Ashima, Lord of the Rings, a lot of very cool stuff, even micro scale. So go and check it out. The next builder in the list, the next MPU of the week is for this build that is Dr. Robotnik X Cruciator. I hope I pronounce it correctly, by Zane Houston. This is massive, is amazing. I'm talking about two very small MPU here, but you should really take some time to go and check out this whole build. Crazy angle, crazy details all over. I have no idea how to build. I mean, even the water here that are fairly simple technique is so nice and so well done. You can see, for example, those bridges, for example, they have a nice texture with the dark tan 1x2. Everything is super well done. But what I really like is the use of a couple of elements. So, for example, here for the teeth of this big mech, we are using white ingots that in this case, they work very, very well. And to me, the most interesting part that stood out to me is those trees. So those trees are made with some lime windshield. I don't have any of those in my collection, but I would never thought to use those windshield to create this sort of palm-looking trees. So very, very, very cool. Now, let's move about the noteworthy article of the week. Let's start with tips and bricks. So they have a technique article about water. So again, here you have any type of water technique, from the most simple one to the more complicated and part-intensive one. So if you want to build some water, I recommend you to check this one out. I also have some water techniques. For example, in my medieval vignette, I had a very interesting water. So you can also check out my channel if you want to find out more about water techniques. And they also have another article about microscale ship. If you like to build microscale, here for sure you're going to have some very interesting idea. I'm a fan of microscale, so you should definitely go and check out and maybe get inspired by this. For example, there's already some builders in the community that has been inspired by this. So here we have Hacking Bricks, another great builder that you should follow, that built this small sort of Columbus Day vignette with some very interesting part usage. We have the minifigure end for the flag. We have elastic band here for the sail. We have frogs at the front of the ships, and we have birds at the back, and even birds for the waves that are crashing into the rocks. Very, very interesting part usage over here. New Elementary this week is covering some new elements, like they always do. So here they're talking about these new elements that are Column of Bubbles and Florence Flask. Very interesting element. When there are new elements, they always give you an overview of the size of these elements and all the way that you can connect them and use them for your own mocks. I think the big bottle, the big flask is pretty interesting and could be useful, especially if you need to have a little bit of variety in your build and not just the smaller kind of bottles. Of course, like every week, I recommend you to go and check out the top 10 mocks of the week by BrickVault. Every week they have a new episode, probably around the same time as this episode. A new episode of BrickVault top 10 should come out. So I recommend you to go and check out the playlist. More than 10 mocks. There's a lot of honorable mention, a lot of cool stuff. So you should definitely check every week's episode of this. Now let's move to BrickNerd. 2 articles from BrickNerd this week. Very interesting to me. I mean, there are a lot more if you want to go and check it out. This one, for example, is the 10 ways to break through builder's block. I think this is something that happened to everybody, not just with Lego, but in any form of hobby or art. If you have a builder's block, here there are a few interesting suggestions on how you can overcome it. So very interesting read. I recommend you to go and check it out. The article is, by the way, written by Casey McCoy, that is an amazing builder. He has a lot of amazing builds. Again, very diverse, different style. There's new Ashima, there is microscale. So it's all sorts of amazing creation. You should definitely check him out. The other article is about floating island. So here, Andreas Lenander, that we feature in previous episode, has a very interesting article going through different types of floating island that has been built in the Lego community. I built a floating island myself some time ago. It was my first attempt. I should probably try to attempt something like that again. And that was built for Wonder Sky contest a couple of years ago. We will talk more about that a little bit later. By the way, talking about the author of this article, he also has a YouTube channel that I highly recommend you to check out because it definitely deserves more views. Very short videos where he walks you through the different techniques and the different way that he built these amazing creations. So go and check him out. He has some truly amazing builds. Let's go to the Brothers Brick. Of course, every day, every week, a lot of amazing creation. I'm going to highlight this one today, which is an Aarakocra Ranger built by Mitch Phillips. So this is actually the same as the minifigure that comes with the D&D series. I just built an habitat for that minifigure. This is a bigger scale build. really, really cool. So if you are into this more organic kind of characters building, I highly recommend you to check him out. You can see all sorts of cool pieces, even cloth pieces over here. This creator is, of course, specialized in this kind of big organic creatures and mech sort of characters. So I recommend you to go and check him out. And by the way, he also has a YouTube channel that you should check out if you are into this kind of build, where again, he show you all the building techniques. In particular, for example, here we have the build for this specific Aarakocra Ranger. He walk you through all the building techniques and now how these come together. So you should definitely go and check him out. Let's move to the fan design. I have one suggestion from LEGO Ideas this week. This camping sort of adventure. A very interesting build. I think something like this could be successful. Very interesting build, rock work, trees design, especially with the rework of the LEGO designer. This could be a very interesting build. I think the Jeep is a very, very nice build, nicely done. And everything is modular. You can take apart everything. This build is by a Japanese builder, Terauma, 10K club member. You should check him out. He had also an interesting build, this Riverside Lodge. It was not approved, was a 10K build. Something like that, I think, a little bit similar to the A-frame cabin is something that could be successful. So let's hope we see something like that. And of course, go and support on LEGO Ideas if you like the design. Stay on the fan designer side. We have the Bricklink Designer program. Last week, we talked about Series 3. Now the voting for Series 6 is open until October 19. So we have just a couple of days left to vote your favorite. I'm just going to highlight some of my favorites. Of course, there are a lot of more fantastic builds, but I'm just going to pick 5 so you can have an idea of what you can find there. The first one is the Woodland Hollow by Graham Gidman. Very, very interesting build. Is a big tree in the middle, very nice color with this sort of cottage, with sort of house building around it. All sort of details at the back. The structure is modular, everything can come apart. I think this is very cool and could look very good in also, for example, next to the mushroom house that I think I should receive from Bricklink later in November. The next build is the Sushi Restaurant by Brick Project. This is probably my best submission of the series. Amazing. So many details. I love all this Asian style building. There's a ton of details here inside and outside. We have the small tram and everything is modular. You can open it up and you can even display in a different way. You can have it as a one building or you can have it as a sort of landscape. So there are multiple configurations. I think this is definitely the best project of the series. Go and check it out. The next one is by Norton 74, which is the Italian designer behind the A-frame cabin. This is a fishing boat. This is probably something that would work in the smaller price point. So every series, they have a smaller build. I think this would fit nicely in there. It's modular with a lot of details. Is perfectly in the style of Norton 74. So this is something that you should definitely go and check out if you like this smaller type of set. Next one is Ancient Bazaar by M.G. Barian. I hope I pronounced correctly. I think in this moment, we don't have anything in this style, this sort of bazaar style. And I think it's time that we should get something like this. So we have a lot of a little bit more Asian style builds. I think something like this would be very, very interesting. And I think we should support it. So hopefully Bricklink can give us something that official LEGO products don't put out for now. The last one that I want to highlight for you is this Dragon Lair. This is by King's Creation, that I think is the designer behind the camping adventure in this previous series. This is very cool. There's interesting vegetation, interesting rock work. You have two knights and this very big and scary dragon coming off. We have a lot of hidden details at the back side. It can be open in a way that feels kind of modular, so you can access different area. I think it's a pretty interesting build, so you should go and check it out, and also with some very cool minifigures as well. Now, a very important thing happening this week is Creation for Charity. How does this work? So here we can see the steps. So steps 1, mock creator donate mocks all throughout. You can still do it now. It's open until I think the end of November. So if you want to submit one of your mocks, you can do it. You can donate your mocks. Step 2, customer can go on the website and purchase your mock. You will be in charge of shipping it, and then all the proceeds from this sale will be used to buy new Lego sets that then will be donated to organization around the world to kids in need. This is happening every year. I think Beyond the Brick also will usually have a big 24-hour live stream, and I think everybody should check it out and participate. If not by donating your own mock, maybe by buying something on the website. So of course there are some that can be very expensive because these are kind of work of art, and anyway, everything goes for charity, so it's for a good cause. But you can also find some cheaper one if you don't have the budget to spend for the bigger creation. I'm gonna highlight a couple of those creations. One of my favorites is this Flash Bat Cycle that I think is already sold. This is amazing. It's by a famous Star Wars builder, Jürgen Wittner. This is very, very cool. You have this big character, this big Batman with the bat cycle at the back, very, very cool. And another one that I wanted to highlight, that is definitely my favorite, is the Dreamer, which is this character build, again, that will fit very nice next to the Mushroom House. And this done by Lego designer Markus Rothbuder, that we already mentioned in previous videos. This build is amazing. There's a lot of fantastic piece usage. We have this very nice butterfly. You can see the parts usage of the hair of the minifigure, even the collar, the neck, with those slopes used backwards, very, very cool. You can see the snail over here with the 2 antenna pieces. Is an amazing build. This is the style of this build is because I'm going to give you some example over here. These are the trophies that Marius make for Brickscalibur. There is a castle contest that is going to start soon, and we will talk more about the contest in the following episodes. But look at this. I hope one day I can win one category and get one of these trophies. So far I haven't won anything yet, but hopefully in future edition I will get better and I can aim to win something like this. Now, let's talk about YouTube. Every week I highlight one of the channel that I watch. So this week I recommend you to go and watch Jacob Kaiser Mocks. I think he deserves way more viewers and subscribers than what he has now. At the moment, he has a series of, he's building a big GoTiv collaboration. I think you should definitely go and check this out. Look at the rock work here and at the color. Really, really beautiful. He's a fantastic builder. I think he has also some live stream of the building. And in a similar way that I do, of course, in a bigger scale, he walk you through the different builds and technique that he used for his mocks. So I highly recommend you to go and check him out. Moving on, let's talk about the contest. This week we have Wandering Skies. Everything, all the information are out. Everything is linked down below. The contest will run until November 10th, so we have 2 months. It's a steampunk contest. There are all the rules over here stated, and we have 3 categories. Fig and a Vig, so a minifigure, custom minifigure into a vignette 8x8 with the prices and everything. The other category is Seasonal Bliss, so here you have to create one scene that represents one of the 4 seasons. And Staff of Legend, here they talk more about legendary scenes, big creature, pirate ship in the sky, something more legendary. Of course, everything needs to fit in the world of Wandering Skies. There are some additional awards, and here a little bit of a word overview on how these builds should look and to fit in this world. To close the video, let's talk about what happened on my channel. So of course, I release another vlog video for my members. So my Dreamers member have a exclusive members only video where they already saw almost complete my Lord of the Rings diorama that will come out next Monday. So if you want to see my builds earlier and have more behind the scene of my building process, you can check out my membership program. And this week I released the next 3 habitats from my series of habitats for the D&D minifigure series. I already built 6, 3 last week and 3 this week, and I will complete the series along the way. I'm very happy with the tavern build over there on the left for the bard. It's a very, very interesting habitat, maybe one of my best ever. And here I'm building the one for the Aarakocra Ranger that I mentioned earlier. That has also a very interesting sort of tree technique using this, not much of a technique, interesting part, usage of these leaves, these fairly new leaves from Friends and Disney set, I think. The tree at the end looks pretty nice, and I haven't seen much use this part in other mocks. I think I saw on Discord somebody using in a small build. So it's a part that we can have a good use of. If you want to support the channel, I will put a couple of affiliate links down below to Amazon. They still have 20% off the Creator 3.1 Medieval Castle, very good part spec. And also they have a 25% off on the Friends Botanical Garden that was very successful and could be useful because the new Botanic Garden from LEGO Ideas is coming out soon. Maybe this could be a good source of parts to build maybe an additional side build that goes along with that one. Of course, if you are new to this series, this is the third episode of my weekly series of Mock Builders News. If you haven't done it yet, you can go and check out the previous episodes. Thank you very much for watching. Please consider to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Ciao, ciao!